That is why I would like to say to you, Mr. Chancellor, despite all your agreement with what you have once again said here about Ukraine, I think it is high time we took another critical look at whether we have actually really succeeded in showing Putin the limits over the last 2.5 years. We have clearly not succeeded, and it is becoming more difficult for Ukraine from week to week. I would like to propose to you here that you should now say very clearly and very plainly to Putin, and I would ask you to say the same thing tomorrow in the European Council, that we will no longer accept him indiscriminately bombing civilian infrastructure, hospitals, kindergartens, all civilian infrastructure in this country, and that if he continues to do so, it will be decided by broad consensus in Europe that the range limits for the weapons that Ukraine has will now be lifted. Mr. Chancellor, you are also personally responsible for this. You are also personally responsible with your attitude for the fact that Ukraine has to fight Putin with one hand behind its back. This cannot continue. And if Putin doesn't accept that, then the next step must be taken. And he doesn't need to be told that. If he does not stop bombing the civilian population in Ukraine within 24 hours, then Taurus cruise missiles must also be delivered from the Federal Republic of Germany to destroy the supply routes that this regime is using to damage and bomb the civilian population in Ukraine. You know, I can't help but get the impression that the threats to use tactical nuclear weapons throughout the West are also having a considerable effect on you. In recent weeks, I have been reminded more and more frequently, I am reminded more and more frequently in recent weeks of the words of an old French philosopher, Michel de Montaigne, who once said that fear is the mother of all cruelty. Mr. Chancellor, it is also time for us to overcome our fear of Putin in order to really put an end to the atrocities in Ukraine together. If we don't manage to do that, you can see the Social Democrats shaking their heads here. Then we will be standing here in a few years' time and will once again be accused of having misjudged the situation. We have misjudged it time and time again. We must not misjudge it again in the year of the revolution. If we do, we will collectively make ourselves untrustworthy in the eyes of history. We will pay a high price if we do not now clearly and emphatically ensure that this war in Ukraine is brought to an end. This cannot be done with fear, but only with determination and joint action by the European Union and NATO partners. In the normative West, not in the geographical West, but in the normative West of the region of the world in which we are very fortunate to live in peace and freedom. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.